Hello everyone and welcome back to Conan Exiles Age of War. And as the title will suggest, this will be an updated tour of Sepermeru, the city of the Relic Hunter, where you can get fighters, archers, dancers, taskmasters and crafters from. So in this video what we'll do is we'll take a walk around and I'll highlight all different areas again where different NPCs spawn, including 3 sorcerers that are still here. So if you're after Sorcerers still, I'll show you where they are again and highlight the fact that they are still here. And just bear in mind a majority of these spawns do share a spawn with all of the different professions. However, there are some areas where a guaranteed particular profession will spawn, but as we get to those I'll highlight them in the video. And anywhere that we see, like you can see over my right shoulder here, at sort of gateways etc, where you see a fighter or an archer, they will always be a fighter or an archer, male or female, and they can be anything from tier 1 to tier 3. And on most of the gate fronts there can also be a chance for one or either of 2 named female archers to spawn. If we happen to see her while we walk around, I will point them out. If not, I'll also highlight some of the more prominent areas where they can spawn. So here we go. Okay, so as I say, we are at Sepermeru, City of the Relic Hunter, and if I pull up my map, you can just see we're over here on the far left side of the map, quite up near the, not quite the middle of the map, but the middle of the desert area, just to the left of the unnamed city, opposite the silver mine. And if you were to come from Noob River, an easiest way is to make your way up the top past this camp, stick along the bottom of the unnamed city, on the outside obviously, follow it all the way up and along, around till you get to this POI here, which is like Rhino Head Ridge I think it's called. Oh no, the Jawbone, sorry, till you get to the Jawbone. Keep following that along and you'll eventually come along that pathway just over there. So then you come up here and swing a right, that way you can see that statue I suppose you would call it there, that is the green wall that runs along there. And outside here you'll notice there are 2 rhinos. Now for a long time people used to believe that one of these was a boss rhino, but do not worry, they are just 2 regular rhinos. So if one did aggro, you should be able to deal with them quite easily. The black rhino, which is a 3 skull black rhino, is actually just over that hill there a little bit, just over that little ridge. At the time of this video on console it's actually bugged, so it's actually invisible. One of our players on our server, which we're on now, was running through here yesterday and got attacked by something but couldn't see it. Came over and checked and it turned out to be the 3 skull black rhino. So if you do play on PlayStation, certainly, not too sure with official servers, but certainly on this server, our own private server, this is actually bugged at the moment, so just be wary of that. So anyway, as you approach Sepermeru, you come to this gate, and as I say, there'll typically be an archer here, and there can be anybody from level 1 to level 3, and there is a chance for either of the 2 named tier 4 female archers can spawn there as well. So then if we get going, these will always be fighters here, 2 of them, tier 1 to 3, male and female. This is a guaranteed Taskmaster spawn. This will always be a Taskmaster, and it can be anyone from the apprentice, journeyman, master, or even a named Taskmaster, but that will always be a guaranteed Taskmaster. So then if we move on, again 2 more guards on the gate, fighters and archers, tier 1 to 3, and male or female once again. I won't bother saying that each time, I'll just literally tell you what they will be rather than repeating it constantly. This is the first of our crafter spawns. This will be a carpenter, tier 1 to 3, and the obvious. Fighter spawn, 1 to 3 again. Crafter, again this shares a slot with all the professions, but there is also chances for certainly named carpenters I've seen appear here, so keep an eye out for that one. Across from them on this doorway, all the professions once again, levels 1 to 3, and also a chance for a named performer and any of the named professions to spawn there. Not very often I don't think, but they can do. Moving on, the person here at the foot of this little footpath, if you will, that is a guaranteed alchemist spawn, 1 to 3, and it can also be a named alchemist can spawn there. If we carry on back up here, 2 more spawns, always crafters, but also can be a performer of any tier again, 1 to 3, and also a named dancer that can spawn here. I think there are 2, but one of them is called Luba the Luscious, a female. She can sometimes spawn in either of these spots as well, but there's also another location where she could spawn as well. I'll show you that when we come around to it. Carrying on down, you get another fighter sat here, another archer here. Now that's a tier 3. Now you'll notice sometimes with the tier 3 archers or fighters, they will have this particular top on as opposed to the red relic hunter top. It's just, I believe, like the heavy armor chest piece, it kind of looks a bit like that. Typically a tier 3 or a named archer, so one of the 2 females that we may see, they can sometimes spawn with that chest piece on as well, but it's only the tier 3s and possibly named that do spawn with it. This spot here at this fireball cauldron, this will always be 3 alchemists, again male and female, 1 to 3, and also a chance again for a named alchemist to spawn. Couple of people back here again, fighters, and a dancer spawn again. Tends to be a lot of the low levels here, but that is a dancer spawn again. Carry on around here, another archer and crafter spawn that can share with multiples. Once again, I have seen named armourers on Tanner's spawn here, so worth checking out that one. And then if we move on behind them, a couple of fighters once again, and another spot here. This is another apprentice, but again it can be tier 1 to 3, so apprentice, journeyman, master, or a named one, and again guaranteed taskmaster spawn there. So 2 guaranteed taskmaster spawns. Carry on up this hill, we also have, if you look around, you'll see that guy there. They are what we call a wandering spawn, meaning they'll walk around a little bit, and they can share with fighters, archers, and I think crafters as well can also be on that spawn, so be wary of them. All the different tiers again. There's always 3 people sat here, a couple of crafters and a fighter, all the different professions and the different tiers again, typically the low levels 1 to 3. Another fighter sat down there, and this guy again here, that's another wandering spawn that can be any of the crafters again, or an entertainer. And I think, if I recall correctly, that spawn also wanders that way a little bit, and they also kind of wander down the back here. Another wandering archer fighter spawn there, but that crafter spawn can wander down here and also up and out of that gate sometimes, so just keep that in mind if you're looking for them. Then you want to carry up into the what we call market district, and you'll notice that this tree here, there is another crafter sat here once again. A lot of the time I've noticed it's been a low level, but it can be any of the professions, so alchemist, blacksmith, carpenter, tanner, any of those, they can all be there. Moving over into the market itself, we have a spawn here that will always be a set priest, so if you're after your set priest, they can spawn here as well. And again, it can be the set priest, the set high priest, and possibly the archpriest, or certainly the named priest that you can get can spawn there. There's also 2 other guaranteed set priest spawns that we'll come to. But in the centre of the market here, you've always got a fighter or somebody stood here, an archer, another one there, another crafter spawn here, and a dancer spawn here. This can be a named dancer and a tier 3, but tends to be the 1s and 2s a lot. And as I say, there's a crafter spawn there that again shares with all of the professions. These are your merchants, so you can't do anything with these, that's just a wandering fighter, but these,
A good day for a good trade.
you can talk to these different traders, and if you've got gold and silver coins in the game, you can come and buy various things from them. If you're an emote collector or the books and things, just over this crate here, if you jump over you can click on that book and that will teach you an emote, and that, if I remember correctly, is that one. So you can get that there. Now if you come around past here, this is what's called the prison, and there will always be 3 guards on the front, typically 1 or a couple of tier 3s like him there. And in here, as you can see, you've got a big wheel of pain, or as we on YouTube like to call it, the wheel of friendship. And you have 2 people called prisoners. Now, even though it says they are fighters, these used to have around about 1500 or 1000 health before this patch. And they've now been nerfed, and I've had a look recently, they only have about 860 now. They're not the best of levelers, and they probably are quite weak. If you want really good fighters, I wouldn't bother with these. But another guaranteed Taskmaster spawn again, any of the levels. And obviously around the outside you've got your fighters again, your prison guards. Another 2 prisoners, and again another Taskmaster, guaranteed Taskmaster spawn. So that's 4 places where you can get a guaranteed Taskmaster spawn, 2 in here at the prison, the one at the end of the road that we saw as we came in, and the one at the very beginning. There will always be a Taskmaster. So then if we carry on around here to the sort of top north end of Sepermeru, it's quite a big area, so there's quite a lot to take in. You'll always find a fighter here again, and again one of the professions. It can also be an entertainer again, which is one of the professions, all the different levels. And if we carefully take a look around, because there is also another wandering spawn that wanders around here. Where are they? There they are. So this one here, again, I have occasionally seen this be a named person again, but very rarely. But again, it's any of the professions, that's what you call a wandering spawn. And then if we go to this gate here, another profession, any of them again, fighter spawn. And then a couple of fighters out here, and there's an archer spawn up there, and one that side, and one down here. Now occasionally it could be on either of these archer spawns that either one of the 2 named female archers could spawn on there, so keep an eye on your archer spawns on your different gateways and things as well if you're after them. I'll mention their names shortly. But if we wander up here, another set of people again, and these will always be tier 1 to 3, never a named person, it's always the 1 to 3, and they will all be archers. And then this spawn right here, even though this is a 3 at the moment, that's a perfect example of Lisa Oda Longbow or Mandugal 100 Arrow, if I'm not butchering her name there. Either of those 2 can spawn here as well, and again wearing that exact same appearance. They can be wearing the relic hunter top sometimes, but typically they seem to spawn with that top on, and this is the spot where they could spawn if you get lucky. So if we move on a bit more, we kind of get a bit more interesting now, because just up in front there is what we call the bandit town, or the hostile town, which is a little area where these NPCs will actually attack you. They will aggro to you. Most of Sepermeru is what we call passive, meaning that you'll be perfectly fine. But if you go into this area, and there's another little area across this side which I'll show you in a second, the NPCs there will attack you straight away. They are hostile. But if I just nip up here, sorry, over here, you can see again there, There's a couple of fighters. Then if we run across here, just wait to show you this on the outside of this gate, there is another gateway just down there. Fighter spawn there. Another crafter again. Any of the professions. Another alchemist spawn. These again guaranteed alchemists. Always 2 here. And a chance for a named one to spawn. And for those who are interested, if you are still after sorcerers for spell pages or the pouches or the failed pages to make your black blood in your dismantling bench, you've got your spell page here still. And as you can see, sorcerers still spawns here. You cannot knock them out and hand them in anywhere now. The only reason to knock them out would be if you were putting them on your thaumaturgy bench for your sorcery, otherwise there's no point now. So just killing them for their resources. Also their skulls, you can keep those now. They would typically be no good, but you can actually use them as decoration in your base now. So you can use them as a placeable. So if you were making your sorcery room, you could place some sorcerer skulls down in there. So once again, the fighter. And another fighter that can be an archer. This is a bearer spawn. As you can see, the pack is also glitched at the moment as well. These typically are tier 1 to 3. Occasionally I have seen a male named bearer spawn here, but typically it seems to be the lower levels. They'll wander out that gate and then to the left a little bit, or they'll come in and they'll wander into this area, this is a hostile area as well. You do also have a alchemist spawn here, which again tier 1 to 3 and potentially a named can spawn here. And I am cloaked and in god mode for this video, so this is why they're not attacking. But these guys here, these are hostile, so they are not friendly. So if you came into this area, these guys will attack you. There's these 3 here, and there's somebody else just down there that you can see as well. So sort of avoid this area if you don't want to get into combat. Another wandering archer spawn there, and then a fighter spawn here, and then another fighter spawn there. And as I say, that bearer can also wander down here as well a little bit. And as we get to this area, this is another hostile area again. Not sure why that performer's down here. I don't remember that they used to wander down here. I thought they used to just wander up the top there, but there was a performer there, so if you see them, typically tier 1 to 2, you might get lucky and get a 3, but again, these guys are hostile, so this is where we just were. If you remember at the market over there, so if you came here, they will attack you, as will these here. And then if you come back round here, we come across to another gateway. There's another couple of crafter spawns here. Any of the professions again, all 3 levels. And if you take a look over there, those people over there, they are hostile again, so they will attack you once again. There's another area that if you go near them, they will attack you if you go near them. Now if you're coming in from the beginning where we carried straight on, if you turn to the right and where I highlighted that alchemist spawn just there, if you come over this bridge, another couple of fighters, you've also got a couple of cooks here, always 2 cooks that spawn there, and another emote that you can learn. This is the snake dance, so you just stand in front of this one for a certain amount of time and it will pop up on the right of your screen to tell you you've learned the snake dance. So then if we carry on back through here, we want to run back up here. So as I say, bandit, dangerous area there, and dangerous area to your left. This doorway here, I have also seen either of the 2 named archers spawn on this doorway as well, so do keep an eye out there. They can be leaning against that door. So that's Lisa or Mandagal, they can spawn there. Couple of fighters on this gate again. This guy you can interact with.
Good day, noble adventurer. I am Gilzan, treasure hunter and man of fortune. If you are planning to wander the avenues of this cursed city, then perhaps I can offer some advice. No charge the first time.
Well, that's good to know, isn't it? No charge the first time. So yeah, you talk to him, he'll tell you a few bits, and you can also learn the thing in the middle there from
Be
him.
careful out there. It's hard to know who to trust.
That's very true. If I just quickly jump up here, whoops, you'll notice there are two performers here. Two male at the moment, but there can be females obviously as well. Tier 1 to 2 typically. You might get a 3 if you're lucky, and also Luba the Luscious, the named performer. I've seen her spawn on this side before now. She can also spawn on the other performer that we saw wandering down below just before. They're usually up here wandering around, but she can spawn there as well. So then if we carry on around here, we're going to go out of this gate and we're going to hook a left. Another wandering fighter spawn here. Another gateway here, and I have seen Lisa and Mandergal spawn here and here before now, and they can also be in a few other places around here in a wandering spawn as well. Crafter spawns, so these will always be crafters or an entertainer. Any of the professions once again, and all the different levels including named potentially, so keep an eye out on that one. Over at Conan's bar you've got a couple of fighters or archers that side, the same that side. And I'll cover Conan's bar inside just before we finish, there's a couple of bits in there to look at. Wandering spawn here, this can also be either of the two archers. And as you saw just there, this is where we were a moment ago, where the bandit area is just there. There's another wandering spawn here again, this can be either of the two archers. Then if we nip down the back of Conan's bar, we've got another couple of spawns for crafters just here. One here and one here, typically the low tier. And over on the island just there, if I whip across, this can be a this is a guaranteed cook, tier 1 to tier 3, and you can also get a couple of named cooks to spawn on here. There is one, if I remember his name correctly, called Bragger the Baker. He can spawn on here, and also you will get somebody wearing light armour, male or female again, called the Lone Fisherman. They can also spawn on there, really good cook for your improved stove. Either of those really. Wandering spawn there, typically a fighter again, I have seen it be one of the archers. Another couple down at that banner there, and you can also interact with that banner and learn those. They're called the Stygian banner, so you can learn that recipe as well. Then if we carry on, you got another couple of spawns for fighters here, and there is a cook here, one tier 1 to 3, and I've also seen Bragger the Baker spawn here as well. Another fighter spawn and a dancer spawn. Typically tier 1 to 2, but you might get a 3 if you're lucky. Then we have two guaranteed carpenter spawns here. So again, male and female, as you can see, tier 1 to 3. Now there is also another NPC that can spawn here, well there's two actually. A male and a female. Their names actually slip my mind at the moment while we're here. But they will spawn and they'll look kind of like this female does here, if it's the female obviously, wearing exactly the same type of clothing, but she'll be a lot taller, so they'll be taller than that window behind her. And it's a male or a female, and they look like they're a carpenter, but if you read their tag under their name, they're actually called an overseer. So essentially they're a taskmaster, but typically I think people would get them because they wear the same type of clothing as these and put them on their torturer's workbench to help you make the chain bindings rather than putting them on the wheel of pain. I presume you could put them on there, but typically people tend to use them on the torturer's workbench, I do believe. So yeah, another wandering spawn there, fighter, and I have seen it be the archers again, so bear that in mind. 2 guaranteed blacksmiths, tier 1 to 3, male and female once again, and also you can get the, if you're lucky with RNG, you can get the named blacksmiths to spawn here. So the tempersmith, the edgesmith and the bladesmith, they can spawn down here, and it will always be blacksmiths that spawn from here. Bear in mind, if you do try to knock them out, obviously they're both going to engage it, but also these 2 carpenters will come over, and if that wandering spawns nearby, they will come over and get involved as well, and possibly this one. But if you're using the new purple lotus orbs to knock people out, I'll do a video on that in the future just to show you how those orbs work and how much difference it is to knocking somebody out with a concussive purple lotus orb rather than actually having to fight them, or even giving your thrall a truncheon and sending them in to knock people out. I'll do a comparison video just to show you how different the two are, and then you'll see and be able to decide for yourself what's going to be easier when it comes to taming your friends, as we like to call them. Right, another gateway, and again another spawn there, and one on this side, and if they are archers they could also be either the 2 named archers again, so bear that in mind. And you can also get up this end at the other end of the gate entrance where we came in, but typically I would come around this way if I come out of that gate. Typically a fighter spawn all the time, archer spawn, and look at that. No, I didn't order it, I didn't request it, there's no way I can set this up, this is purely by chance. Just like I was saying, one of the archers, Lisa, rode a longbow, and she's wearing the top I was talking about. So there you go, that's what she looks like. So she can spawn in any of those other spawns that we mentioned, or she can spawn right here. Also the Mandugal 100 arrows, she can spawn here as well. But there you go, there's proof that I'm not making it up, they can spawn here. So now you know. And just if we check over here a minute, excuse me, just on the right here you've got this little bridgeway, and there's an archer just over on there. That can be one of them again as well, very occasionally, but typically it's a regular archer. Then if we come back here, this is a guaranteed armourer spawn, so this will always only be an armourer, male and female, tier 1 to 3, and you can also get your named armourers to spawn here. This is one of the locations, if not the main location, in Sepermeru for an armourer that I would highly recommend that you keep farming if you're after this Shieldrite armourer, which in my opinion is the best armourer in the game, because any armour that you craft that you can wear or that your thrall is going to wear, it will give you the highest armour value. But you can also get the Scout-Rite for weight reduction, and also the Temper-Rite for durability, but I always recommend the Shieldrite, and I would always recommend this spawn point in Sepermeru because it is a guaranteed armourer. It might take you a little while to get one with RNG, but this is your best spot for an armourer to come and try and get them. Now if we move on a bit more, 2 guaranteed blacksmiths once again. So it's the same as down the bottom there, these will always be blacksmiths, tier 1 to tier 3, male or female, and the named, as we've already mentioned, named people can also spawn here as well. Alright, so we're almost there now, we're nearly at the end, you'll be glad to know. Wandering archer spawn there, I've also known that be the named person in the past, but typically it's the regular tiers. And then just while we're here, for those of you again who are doing the sorcery side of things, if you come through here, if you remember as they used to be, the 2 sorcerers are still here as well. And on their table, if it's there, which it is, your spell page is still there as well, and you've still got your 2 guaranteed sorcerer spawns. And again, look at that, another named one, not requested, there's no way I can fix that, it's just that's what's here. But typically all your different levels once again. Tier 1 to Tier 3, all like this, your named ones. If you're after a named sorcerer for your thaumaturgy bench, and a couple of fighters or an archer, another one over there. So bear in mind again, if you're fighting these or knocking these out, these are going to join in as well. So just be prepared for a bit of a fight. And then if you come back out here, you might also find once you've killed those that this dancer or performer will come and join in as well. They'll run around and join in. But that's another low tier dancer spawn. Back across this side, if you tuck behind these buildings here, you'll see if we go along here, I think it is, yep, another crafter spawn. I've also known Luba the Luscious to spawn on here, and somebody named crafters like a tanner, for example, to spawn on there, so that's another good little spot. And then if we come back around here to the main part again, 3 guaranteed set priest spawns. Again, set priest, set high priest, archpriest, and also the named priest can spawn here, and it is a male or female again. But these will always be set priests at this set shrine or altar, whatever you want to call it. And also including with that, excuse me, including with them, there is another 2 guaranteed set priest spawns here. As we can see, these are both female, and it will be the set priest, the set high priest, or one of the named ones once again. And there is a ghost that appears. There's also a book there that you can look at. A little bit of the lore type of stuff there. Alright, well that is pretty much all of Sepermeru, City of the Relic Hunter. There's also, if you go around behind here, behind Conan's bar, a little doorway that you can go into to get into the wine cellar dungeon, where you can find Seth. If you kill him, he's a little one skull boss. If you kill him, you have a chance to get his truncheon, which for argument's sake is the, or if not, one of the best truncheons in the game. So if you get lucky, you want to try farming him to see if you can get his truncheon. But to finish this up, we're going to go into Conan's bar, and you probably just saw in the background, and there is somebody in here that if you've been following the Mechamosis event, if you will, of what's been going on at Mechamosis Spire, you'll know who I'm talking about. If you don't know who I'm talking about and you haven't been to Mechamosis Spire yet, then mute this video and look away for about the next 2 to 3 minutes, and then when you see that I'm back outside again, then you can obviously put your sound back on again, because there is somebody in here who is associated with the Mechamosis Spire situation. So for those who are interested, let's go inside. So yeah, you come into Conan's bar, and unfortunately on console there's still a bug where a counter that should be there is missing, and the tavern counter there is still missing.
So you...
Of course, Conan himself is here.
We meet again. Tell me, have you had a good chance to look around? Seen your fill of these exiled lands?
We're getting there.
It's not too late to get back on that crucifix.
I should imagine. But that's not very nice, but anyway. Right, behind him, always 3 guaranteed dancers, male and female, and these only go up to tier 3, but they are always tier 3, so you'll never get a tier 1 or a tier 2 in here, or a named. It's always tier 3. And this person here, called the princess.
My blood, it is royal, and apparently coveted for sacrifice. My father is a king, and a dog. Through his own embarrassing indiscretions, my father became indebted to the Stygian Tothamon. I was traded to settle his accounts and save his craven scheme. Oh, these sorcerers. They are all alike. May each and every one of them lose their odious heads. I'm well away from my dog king father. I won't go back. For now, I'll follow Conan. If that path leads me to danger, so may it be. It can be no worse than what I have faced.
So, there you have it, guys. That is Sepermeru, City of the Relic Hunter. Hope you found this one helpful. I hope you found it interesting. Like I say, just a little update for the Age of War, just to show you that it's pretty much still the same, but also for anyone who is new to the game, you now know where Sepermeru is, what it is all about, and who you can get in here. If you found this video interesting, if you found it helpful, do me a favour, give me a thumbs up. Just helps the YouTube algorithm to push this out to more people. We're seeing some amazing growth as a channel at the moment. So hello to everyone who is subscribed. Thank you to anyone who has recently. And if you haven't yet, why haven't you? It's totally free to do. Just shows me that you appreciate the content and that you want to follow the channel and be part of the community. And as I say, if you give us a like, it lets the YouTube algorithm know that this sort of content is worth pushing out to people who are interested in it. So if you've any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I do my best at the moment while I can to answer comments. There will come a time where there's just too many, but I do my best at the moment to try and answer them. So ask them down below. And thank you so much for watching, and until I see you in the next video, we shall say goodbye. Alright then my friends, bye bye for now.